The midwife screamed when she caught him, not because he was deformed or silent, but because she pressed her ear to his chest and heard nothing. No heartbeat, no flutter, no pulse. She laid him on his mother's belly and waited for the stillness to claim him. He opened his eyes instead, gray eyes calm as winter stone. His mother named him Asher, which means blessed, but the town called him the stillborn for the rest of his life. He grew like other children, ran like other children, fell and bled like other children. But when a doctor held a stethoscope to his ribs, there was only silence. His blood moved, they knew, because his wounds healed. His lungs worked because he spoke and breathed, but his heart refused to beat. Not slow, not irregular, completely still. One physician suggested he had no heart at all. Another said it must be made of stone. Asher never argued. He simply lived. As a teenager, he fell in love for the first time. A girl with red hair and freckles. He worked up the courage to hold her hand. She felt his fingers, cold as river stones, and pulled away. Later, she told her friends he was dead inside. The rumor spread. No one would dance with him. No one would sit beside him at church. His mother wept. His father prayed. Asher learned to smile without hope. He became a rancher, working alone, speaking to his horses. The horses did not care that he had no heartbeat. They felt his calm, his patience, the way he never startled them with sudden thumps in his chest. He could walk up to a wild mustang and place his hand on its flank, and the animal would stand still, as if listening to a silence it understood. People said he had a gift. Asher knew it was simply the absence of fear. He had nothing to lose, no pulse to quicken, no adrenaline to betray him. He was 28 when he met the healer. She had come to town with a traveling wagon, a blind woman named Lark who could diagnose illness by touch alone. The townsfolk scoffed, but the desperate came. She cured a child of croup, set a broken leg without x-ray, identified a tumor before it killed. Asher's father dragged him to her tent. "Fix my son," the old man begged. "He has no heartbeat." Lark tilted her head, sightless eyes aimed at Asher's chest. "Let me feel," she said. She reached out, her fingers pale and slender, and pressed her palm to his shirt. Her expression did not change. She moved her hand higher, then lower, then pressed her ear against his ribs. Still nothing. She sat back. "You speak the truth," she said. "There is no beat." Asher nodded, expecting her to recoil. Instead, she asked, "May I listen again tomorrow?" He was stunned. No one had ever asked to be near him twice. "Why?" he said. She smiled. "Because silence is not emptiness. Sometimes it is waiting." He returned the next day, and the day after, and the day after that. She placed her hand on his chest each time, feeling nothing, but she did not stop. She asked about his life, his horses, his favorite stars. He learned that she had been born blind, that her mother had died in childbirth, that she had taught herself to read people through their pulses. "I have felt 1,000 hearts," she said. "Yours is the only one that hides." He laughed, a rare, rusty sound. "It's not hiding. It's not there." "Then what keeps you alive?" she asked. He had no answer. No doctor had ever explained it. Some said he was a medical marvel. Others whispered demonic possession. Asher himself had stopped wondering. He simply existed, waiting for an end that never came. Lark took his hand and placed it on her own chest, over her heartbeat. "Thump thump, thump thump. Feel that?" she said. "That's what you're missing." He nodded, his throat tight. "I know. Then let me help you find it," she said. She began to treat him not as a patient, but as a mystery. She studied his pulse points, wrists, neck, temples, all silent. She listened to his lungs, his stomach, his blood flow. Everything worked except the engine. "It's as if your heart is asleep," she said, "or under a spell." He shrugged. "I've made peace with it." She shook her head. "Peace is not the same as acceptance. Peace is when you stop fighting, Acceptance is when you stop hoping. Which one are you? He had no answer. Weeks passed. She became a fixture at his ranch, feeling his chest each morning, each evening. He began to look forward to her touch, not because he expected a miracle, but because she did not flinch. She treated him as whole. One evening, as the sun bled into the mountains, she pressed her ear to his ribs and gasped. "What?" he said. She sat up, her face pale. I felt something, a flutter, like a butterfly trapped in amber. He pressed his own hand to his chest. Nothing. She insisted she was not mistaken. "Your heart moved," she said. For a fraction of a second, it moved. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe for 30 years. But hope was a wound that had scarred over. "Maybe you imagined it," he said. She grabbed his hand and placed it over her heart. "Feel mine. Fast, yes? That's not imagination. That's what you did to me." He realized she was trembling. He had never made anyone tremble before. That night, he could not sleep. He lay in the dark, his hand on his own chest, waiting for the flutter. Nothing. But he remembered her words. Silence is not emptiness. Sometimes it is waiting. He had been waiting his whole life without knowing what for. Perhaps it was her. Perhaps she was the key. The thought terrified him. He had never allowed himself to hope, because hope required a heartbeat, and he had none. The next morning, he rode to her tent before dawn. He found her sitting outside, wrapped in a blanket, her blind eyes aimed at the rising sun. "I've decided something," he said. She turned her face toward him. "What?" He knelt before her and took her hands. "If my heart ever beats, it will be because of you. And I want to be there when it happens. Will you stay?" She smiled, a slow, radiant thing. "I've been staying," she said. "You just now noticed." They became inseparable. He built her a room in his cabin. She planted a garden she could smell. He described sunsets he could not feel. She touched his face to know his moods. The town whispered, but they no longer cared. He was still heartless. She was still blind. Together, they were something new. One night, as they sat by the fire, she placed her hand on his chest out of habit. Then her eyes widened. "Asher," she whispered. "It's beating." He felt nothing. His own hand, pressed beside hers, found only stillness. But she swore she felt it, a rhythm, faint but present. "It's like a drum from very far away," she said. "But it's there." He wanted to weep. He had waited 30 years for this moment, and he could not even feel it himself. She kissed him then, her lips soft and certain. And in that kiss, he felt something. Not a heartbeat. Something warmer. Something he had no name for. She listened every night after that, charting the progress of his invisible heartbeat. It grew stronger, though still silent to his own senses. She described it as a horse approaching from a great distance. First a rumble, then a rhythm, then a thunder. "Soon," she said, "you will feel it too." He did not ask how she knew. He trusted her. She had never been wrong about bodies. She had diagnosed cancers, pregnancies, fevers, and now she was diagnosing life into a dead man. One evening, a storm rolled across the valley. Lightning struck near the cabin, and a beam fell, pinning Lark to the floor. Asher lifted it with strength he did not know he had, but she was bleeding, her leg broken. He carried her to the bed, tore his shirt for bandages, and held her hand as she drifted in and out of consciousness. "Don't leave me," he begged. She smiled weakly. "I'm not leaving, but you need to do something for me. Anything." "Listen," she said. He pressed his ear to her chest. Her heartbeat was weak but steady. Thump thump, thump thump, and beneath it, impossibly, he heard another sound. A second rhythm, faint but unmistakable, coming from his own chest. His own heart beating in tandem with hers. He gasped. She touched his face. "You hear it now?" He nodded, tears streaming. "It's real." She laughed, then winced from pain. "I told you, Your heart was waiting. It was waiting for me. The doctor came at dawn, set her leg, said she would heal. Asher never left her side. And his heart, his silent, still, stubborn heart, kept beating. Not fast, not strong, but steady. A rhythm he had never known. He realized that he had not been dead all these years. He had been dormant, like a seed in frozen ground, waiting for the right warmth. Lark was that warmth. She had touched him not with her hands, but with her belief. She had listened when no one else would. They were married in the autumn, in the meadow where they had first sat together. She wore a dress of pale gold. He wore a vest open over his chest. When the preacher asked if anyone objected, the only sound was the wind. And beneath it, two heartbeats, one blind, one once dead, beating as one. Asher took her hands and said, "I have waited 30 years to feel this. You are not my miracle. You are my reason." They had a daughter, a girl with her mother's sightless eyes and her father's quiet calm. When the child was born, the midwife pressed her ear to the infant's chest and smiled. "Strong heartbeat," she said. Asher wept. His daughter would never know his curse. She would only know love. Lark held his hand and whispered, "You are not broken. You were just early. Your heart was waiting for the right time. And now it's here." Asher lived to be an old man, his heart beating until his final breath. When he died, Lark was beside him, her hand on his chest. The beat slowed, then stopped. She did not cry. She said, "Thank you for waiting for me." Then she pressed her ear to his silent ribs one last time. And in the silence, she swore she heard an echo, a faint thump-thump, like a memory, like a promise. The cowboy, who had no heartbeat, finally had one. And it had beaten only for her.